And then I went to take a nap, and I come back to the revelation that James Lindsay called me a cult leader. I was taking a nap, bro. Like, how much cult leading do you like? I missed a lot. Apparently I missed a lot. I was explicit. I want someone to confirm. We had a community Zoom earlier. And so I am such a good cult leader. I knew James Lindsay was doing this live stream today. I knew that some people in my community were talking about like sending in questions and stuff like that. I want people in my chat to confirm. I want people in my who are in my supporter community who are on the supporter call earlier today to confirm. I explicitly told people that if they were going to send in questions for James, it was my strong preference that those be smart questions that were about the work. I gave them like a 5-minute lecture. I was like, I know you guys are going to do this. I'm not going to tell you what to do, but here are my wishes. I explicitly told people to not be disruptive. I explicitly told people to be on their best behavior. I explicitly said this. I did. Murphy's Pool missed the call. Murphy's Pool, don't think I didn't think about that while I was giving that lecture. I was like, I really wish Murphy's Pool was here. I said, what you guys do is like, I'm the one that's going to receive the blowback for this. Reagan said, I asked a very educational and thoughtful one, but I think they got rid of all bot super chats. Oh, through bot. Oh, so Reagan used bot to ask a thoughtful question. And they just deleted them. I hope you guys do chargebacks on your credit card if they deleted your super chat. Kenneth, you were not on your best behavior. Well, to be fair, Kenneth was also not on the supporter call earlier, so. Yep, I told everyone to be on their best behavior. Yep. People started picking fights. Listen, man, I'm apparently such a great cult leader that I explicitly gave a directive. Not only did I give a directive, I accompanied that directive with a lecture about why I was giving that directive. And I'm such an amazing, such an effective cult leader that no one listened to me. There was not good behavior. Holy shit. What the fuck did you guys do? Oh no. Oh no. I'm getting blamed for all of this. But I do have to say, that clip of James flipping off the camera was everything. Can we just watch that again? We're going to go into this and we're going to figure out what time this all started and I'll do a reaction to this. Fine. Okay. But can we just watch that other clip? Like just real quick. Okay. I want to see the finger again.
What does I don't know. This might be coded, but I'm not sure. What does a Gnostic sex cult have to do with the far left's goal? This guy named Bot is going off about this Gnostic sex cult. What that?
And so we're just not going to answer that question.
Okay, so that's I figured that. So we're just okay. That's why I figured that. Yeah.
Oh no. Oh no. I was taking a nap. I'm never allowed to take a nap again, apparently, while James Lindsay's live on the internet. Naruto, shout out to Dragon Tail for being called a leftist last night. You've made it. Yeah, you haven't really made it until you're explaining socialism to people and you get called a leftist for it. Absolutely. Rottweiler said, we shouldn't need to be told to behave, but that need dopamine hit overrides rationality for some. Yeah. Well, I mean, is James acting like we were the ones that came up with the idea of a Gnostic sex cult? Because James has been ranting about a Gnostic sex cult for months. James quite literally co-authored a book about a Gnostic sex cult, and he's expecting us not to call it a Gnostic sex cult? Like, what the fuck? James, if you don't want people to talk about a Gnostic sex cult, just stop talking about a Gnostic sex cult. Man. All right. So is this still live? Can someone send me the timestamp when this started? I think I saw someone in the chat earlier. Is this still live? Oh, why am I getting an ad? 53-second ad. Okay. It's now not live. So can someone give me a timestamp of when this actually started? It's probably better that we're not going to have the chat up. That's probably for the best. 1:44. All right. Oh my god. I cannot fucking believe you assholes. I cannot fucking believe you guys. Seriously? You're gonna make me watch this? 1:41. Okay, we'll go back a little bit. I was so determined to not watch this interview, even though I am actually kind of curious about it. Why is my thing frozen? Why am I frozen? Am I back? Am I still frozen? Why am I still frozen? Why am I frozen? This isn't fair. Oh, you want to know why? Because my VPN is on. Hang on. Force quit. There we go. Now I'm not frozen. I don't know what just happened. Now, before we can get into that, I want to remind everyone that I have a T-shirt for just this occasion. It's like I anticipated this occurrence. This is the official shirt of the cult with me, the dear leader, on the front of it. You can also get this in the form of a hoodie and a sticker and also a mug. The mug is actually pretty rad. And so apparently now this is not even the first time I've been called a cult leader. The first time I was called a cult leader was when when we exposed the grooming in the Burlington, Vermont schools back in 2022. And we did this whole huge expose on how the Burlington, Vermont school district was grooming middle school kids live on the internet because we found the videos on YouTube and no one had ever watched them. And I watched them for a happy hour way back in the day. And then I got called a cult leader in what is it? 7 days. 7 days is like this like lefty progressive newspaper in Burlington, Vermont. And so they called me a cult leader in their official write-up. And so James calling me a cult leader is actually not even the first time someone's called me a cult leader. In fact, James's new best friends, who are the insane Twitter horde, like that includes Poetry Painter that James is now best friends with, that like have been stalking me for years. They've been saying I have a cult for years. And I keep saying like, I'm a really bad cult leader. No one even does what I ask them to do. In fact, sometimes I almost quit the internet entirely because no one's doing what I'm asking them to do. But apparently I still have a cult. Anyway, now this is the next time I've been called a cult leader. And so we have a t-shirt for that. If you guys would like the t-shirt. Well, what does it mean to be an inclusive cult leader? I mean, there aren't any rules for joining there are no rules for joining my cult. There is also no rule that says you have to stay in my cult. Like I don't think I've ever purposefully excluded someone from it that was actually trying to join in good faith. So I guess anyone can join. Just like, don't be a dick, okay? At least not to me. Don't be a dick to me. Don't be a dick to other people in the cult. You can be a dick to James Lindsay all you want. I don't really care about that. You can be a dick to the people who stalk me on Twitter all you want. I don't care about that. But like, just don't be like, just be cool, man. Just be cool. Just here. You can get your internet angst out somewhere else. Anyway. If you would like the t-shirt, you can find that on the Unwoke art page. You can also get it in the form of a hoodie. Look at that. Look at that. Look at that neon glow. And I like the mug, honestly. I know it's got my face on it, so it's like a little weird. But like, look at that's a cool ass mug. Come on. No, I do have Kool-Aid. Bot once made me a purple Kool-Aid t-shirt. Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. This is a very important rule. In order to we are not an inclusive cult. There is one rule for joining. You have to have an IQ of over 100. Okay. This is a very important filtering mechanism. I have found out through repeated trial and error. I am not, this is just not the place for people with an IQ lower than 100. It just does not work out. If you want to go take some sort of online IQ test just to make sure, go ahead. Now, if you because some people in my cult claim that they do have an IQ of less than 100. I don't think I actually believe them, but some people claim they do, but they show up and they listen and they work really hard, so it like they're able to mask it. So I'm not saying like it's impossible if you have an IQ of less than 100, but I just generally find that it doesn't work out. So this is the baseline. Yeah. Anyway. Well, I mean, pattern recognition is what's important anyway, I think. All right. I can't believe I have to watch this. I don't want to watch this. I don't want to watch this at all. All right. If you would like me to react to whatever the F you guys did to James Lindsay on this live stream like an hour ago while I was taking a nap, probably more than an hour ago now, because I just talked for like half an hour. What I need everyone to do is mount the like button for me, and we will watch what happened. And then I want to go back and do the Lisa Logan crazy law of attraction, Oprah, social emotional learning, Gnostic, globalist conspiracy theory. Okay. That's what we're going to do. That's what we're going to do. Bot, you peg the like button. If you do something fun to the like button, let us know. Let us know in the chat. Really? James had a hissy fit about capitalism? Well, I guess we'll see. Let's see. I've got a couple more super chat. One more super chat. I'm happy I got the communists to admit yesterday that they don't factor conservatives into their thought process. Yeah, that was actually really interesting, Naruto. I was glad you got the communists to admit that as well. That was over on X. All right. I'm just procrastinating. I don't want to watch this. You guys, here's the deal. I don't know how you're going to work this out, but however much you guys sent Benjamin Boyce in super chats, you guys need to work out some sort of plan where you owe me the same amount in super chats for watching this and reacting to this as you sent into Benjamin Boyce. So if Benjamin Boyce didn't read any of your super chats, I need you to do a chargeback and you send that to me as penance for making me watch this. Does that sound like a fair deal? All right.
Partly about is that he flawlessly navigated that situation. At least that's the story. And so I think that that's an extraordinarily valuable thing. Now the Bible
you
more
can get an
broadly is
IOU,
also
all right.
The idea of looking at the Old Testament, which is not Jesus. I mean, the Christians will say yes, it is, but that's its own theological thing. But the Jews might not agree with them. Looking at the Old Testament,
the Jews created
it's
Jesus.
very, very clear that this is a story of a people who sometimes managed to get their act together and avoid calamity, but didn't always, and often fell by the wayside, often lost the path, and were often had to be called.
Imagine not understanding that the Jews created Jesus in order to control the Gentiles. I'm just saying.
Back to the path, and when they did, things got better. It's a story of a people for whom very many bad things happened, some of which ended up working out, and not all of which worked out. And there's a lot to be found in that as well. So it's the whole thing is an excellent guidebook for the circumstances we find in. That's why when I sat down, I didn't sit down and say, I'm going to write a book about dealing with political warfare, and I'm going to base it on the Bible. I started to write a book about political warfare and dealing with political warfare. And it was like, what should I title this section? I should title this section, Turn the Other Cheek. What should I title this section? I should title, whatever. And the most fitting titles are so freaky. I mean, not all of them. Some of them are pretty granular and specific.
I'm being triggered just having to watch this.
Name the dynamic.
I don't like it.
Other ones, it was just like, this is a Bible story. This is a Bible story. This is a Bible story.
Can I do some super chats? They're all stacking up. Do you mind?
I mind. No, of
Okay,
course.
he
Go ahead.
minds. What does
He
a?
doesn't.
I don't know. This might be
Oh, here we
coded, but
go.
I'm not sure. What does a Gnostic sex cult have to do with the far
It
left's
was the
goal of
first.
destroying capitalism?
Wait. This was the first super chat. This was the first super chat? Are you shitting me? Oh my god. We win. It doesn't even matter what happens from here. We already win. Okay, I want to go back and just Okay, Rottweiler, I understand your point. I really, really do. I get it. But like, can we just all acknowledge that that's just like the fact that that's what kicked all this off is just the most beautiful bot is like troll level 100. Like why does James talk religion when he's an atheist? I don't know. I think that would have been a very good question for someone to super chat him.
What does I don't know. This might be coded, but I'm not sure. What does a Gnostic sex cult have to do with the far left's goal of destroying capitalism? This guy named Bot is going on with this Gnostic sex cult.
Not a guy. Don't misgender Bot.
That's super coded, and so we're just not going to answer that question.
Okay, so that's I figured that. So we're just okay. That's why I figured that. Yeah, there's a number of people ask that.
Yeah, I bet there's a whole bunch of them. Make all you people come. I know you're watching. I know you make Benjamin lots of money. Give super chats. Just keep doing it.
So James Beach says, love the recent ND work, New Discourses work. DEI equals stochastic entryism.
So did James just basically tell us that he thinks we're watching all the time? Like, are we making James paranoid that we're always going to be there no matter where he goes, no matter what he does? Every time James says something stupid and nonsensical that is unhinged from what the left is actually doing, like James is going to be paranoid that we're going to be there. I think my plan is working out beautifully.
Was great. Yeah, love the other UN occult videos. The Gnostic stuff really seems like a twisting of all good beliefs. Even Buddhism is twisted, watered down. How is are you still riding the Gnostic trend? Like, where are you at with your Gnostic project?
Yeah, I mean, that's what's happening. Like, I did a thread about it earlier today. So, like, it's still a thing.
He did.
It's not going away.
Wait, James did a thread about it earlier today. We have to look at that thread too.
The bourgeoisie is the demiurge, and it's structuring society.
The bourgeoisie is the demiurge.
What? I'm serious.
That sounds kind of Gnostic sex culty. I'm saying. I mean, my demiurge.
Benjamin Boyce for the win! Holy shit! Benjamin Boyce saying that sounds kind of Gnostic sex culty was just everything that I needed today. Let's do that again. Let's do it. But this is for your pain of watching this boring man, and shout out to Murphy's Pool for coming up with the question that I had. Thank you, Bot. I appreciate your service, even if I did expressly tell you not to do this.
Society.
The bourgeoisie is the demiurge.
What? I'm serious.
That sounds kind of Gnostic sex culty. I'm saying. I mean, my demiurge.
Yes, it does.
No, that's just a linguistic coincidence. Demiurge comes from demiurgos, which means artisan or builder in Greek. Okay.
Yeah, and the bourgeoisie are the ones who are tinkering around with society.
They're the ones that are the builders and the architects of the existing value system of society, the structure of society in the kind of material structuralist sense. That is the Marxist analysis. And so they operate like an evil demon that alienates the proletariat from their true nature, sets them at odds against one another, makes them individualistic and competitive. The whole structure is the Gnostic structure. It's rather than a transcendent realm, it's now a socioeconomic realm in which the structure of the universe plays out, because that's where the belief system got moved, and then it just got reconstituted in that position. So Marxism is the Gnostic. It's the Gnostic heresy or Gnostic mythology.
And what's the counter to that? The non-heretical point of view.
Truth.
That's counter to that. So truth, which is people who work hard and live orderly lives are a benefit to society.
James, do you think it's true, James, that if a person walks into a job interview and in their head they're going, I suck, I'm never going to get this job, I'm the worst candidate, they won't be able to meet my salary, do you think it's true that that person is going to have a worse job interview than someone who walks into a job and goes, I am the best candidate for this job and they're going to want to pay me tons of money and they're going to absolutely love me? Do you think it's true that the person with the positive mental health headspace is probably going to have a better job interview than the person with a negative mental health space? Because that's exactly what we're talking about when we're talking about the law of attraction. That's literally what it is, James. That's literally what it fucking is. The truth is an antidote to all things Gnostic.
And if you don't want to work hard and order your life, you will cause the downfall of society. And communism is not going to save you.
The Gnostic belief is that behind the veil of the demiurge in his creation of the world, there's a secret higher truth that we're being kept from. And of course, the Gnostics believe that they alone have it. They have access to the secret.
No one who studies the law of attraction seriously believes that we are accessing some secret truth that no one else has access to. That is not real.
Truth. So you have to follow them like a cult
leader. Which is a lie. This is a lie.
Which is a lie. No, what's true is that which corresponds to physical reality, or to reality more broadly. So therefore, what is true is that which can be demonstrated by any person, and you don't have to have any secret sauce. You don't have to have somebody reveal it to you. You don't have to find the hidden meaning.
And culturally, what does that mean? Like in our behavior, what's the true behavior? What's good behavior that is being obscured by this nonsense?
I mean, that's way too broad of a question to answer in like any short amount of time. What's good behavior? I mean, Lou Holtz gave used to give what he called the do right rule. Football coach Lou Holtz: do right, don't do wrong, and if you aren't sure, ask the Bible.
Okay, yeah.
Do right, don't do wrong.
What about for people who don't believe in the Bible, James?
Because the Columbia kids might think that they're doing right, but I don't know.
Yeah,
they're
ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
They are.
What does
you can judge them by their fruits? Jesus said they're cringe.
What does Western society mean? There are Eastern non-Christians who are capitalists that Marxists are trying to hijack. Wouldn't it be more accurate to say it's about abolishing capitalism, period, rather than Western society? I wonder if that you have track.
This looks like more bait.
Okay.
Wait. James is literally arguing that someone asking him, shouldn't we just say that this is about abolishing capitalism, is bait? Let's keep going.
So I don't really want to dive into the pile of bait that I'm sure. Imagine wasting your entire Wednesday trying to bait me because you're that desperate to appease your cult leader. What a sad fucking state.
James thinks people did this to appease me while I was taking a nap? Is that what... Holy shit! And talk about like wasting an entire Wednesday? Bro! They were watching a live stream for an hour about a topic that actually they're interested in real life, James. Jesus Christ. Did James just say that listening to him rant on about like whatever he was talking about on this podcast was a waste of time? Did he just acknowledge that? Okay, I gotta stop. I just gotta let this play out. I feel like I'm gonna go back. We're gonna go to the super chat. I feel like I just need to let this. Does James not understand that like a majority of the people who are like really passionate about my content came from his audience. Does James really not understand this? That so many people who love my content came to me after they had been listening to James for years, and some of them understood what James was saying more than others, but universally, they all came here and watched me just showing socialist training videos over and over and over again and listened to me explaining the concepts in the most simple possible way. And they said, holy shit, Carlin, you're so much of a better teacher than James is. Like, does he really not get this? Why am I going to have to rename my show from the Cult Max or Maz? Sorry, Maz over on Rumble. I think I have the perfect name for my show. Literally. You're too libertarian? I literally am a libertarian, bro. I'm an anarcho-capitalist. I literally am a libertarian. I believe in voluntarism and private property ownership. I'm such a cult leader. God. Okay, I'm just going to let it play. I'm not going to interrupt every 2 seconds.
Flushing capitalism, period, rather than Western society. I wonder if that you have track.
This looks like more bait.
Okay.
So I don't really want to dive into the pile of bait that I'm sure. Imagine wasting your entire Wednesday trying to bait me because you're that desperate to appease your cult leader. What a sad fucking state. But it is good. That was a huge super chat. That's $100 that person just wasted. What is
in
Western
MX?
society?
I don't know what MX is. That's a very,
well, you should just go look up like the Treaty of Westphalia. You can look into the legalistic tradition that arose following the Magna Carta and the British
James.
Enlightenment, Scottish Enlightenment.
You could explain something
ideal,
in a way that someone else can understand it. You could literally just teach, bro.
Relevant rights.
I guess like the beneficial way of interpreting that is that there's capitalists that are being hijacked that are not part of Western society or Western culture. So
Ding.
This stuff is transcending. They're just, I guess, so the attack isn't just on Western values.
Ding. Yes, Benjamin. Yes.
That's because the Gnostic parasite attaches to whatever the hell it needs to, and it adapts itself.
Exactly.
That's why Mao led Chinese. He called it Marxism with Chinese characteristics. So if you read the weird books Mao actually wrote, he didn't write his book of quotations. That was a compilation by somebody else. If you read the books that Mao actually wrote, it's all this weird shit where it's very obvious that he was taking Marxist doctrine and trying to blend it with like Taoist yin-yang polarity stuff. So he's trying to give it Chinese characteristics and explain it in kind of Chinese terms. It's very obvious that he connected it to like where kind of Western or
it's almost like he was trying to introduce it in China.
Inverts the Christian value structure, like we talked about at the beginning. It's very clear that he's inverting the familial piety of the Confucian value system. So he just adapted it to the culture that it was located in. It has to do that, or else it's alien. It's like when they took over, they took CRT over to Britain, and all the British people are like, "What? We didn't really do that. Like all this American Jim Crow. We didn't have a Jim Crow. They're like that's not a thing." So like. Yeah, this is just a game to try to make me say capitalism because there's a cult on the line that's having a meltdown that says very idiotically that I don't ever say that the root of this is capitalism.
What is capitalism, James?
Which is
what
like
is it?
A,
what is
blatantly false, and B,
wait, like, the root of all evil is capitalism? Is that what they're saying?
Yeah, but this is like a child's reading of the Communist Manifesto. Like,
James, we don't read the Communist Manifesto. We watch their fucking trainings, bro. Has James ever even bothered to look at why my audience understands this and why my audience is pissed off? Because a lot of them came from him, never understood what the root cause of what was going on in the real world was because James doesn't fucking explain it. Came over here, spent a couple weeks watching socialist trainings with me, and all of a sudden, wow, they're saying the same thing over and over and over again, James. All the activists on college campuses right now are literally parroting this language. They're not parroting Gnosticism, bro. They are parroting what are in the socialist and leftist trainings that we have been watching on my channel for 3 motherfucking years. And at some point, people who are listening to you and you not explaining this started coming over here. And guess what happens, James? Guess what happens when people just look at the receipts in the real world for themselves? They start to get pissed off at all the things that you didn't teach them, and all the things that you didn't show them, and all the things that you never explained to them, that you can watch their trainings and see it clearly. There is a very specific reason we're trying to force your ass to say capitalism, James, and that's because your audience does not understand this, and you are in a position of being able to influence millions of people. And instead of teaching them the basics, which is the left wants to abolish capitalism, which they define as private property. Private property means your home, your land, your business, your intellectual property, your rental units, your parental rights, motherfucker, and your individual liberties, because you never tell people what the left means when they say capitalism. It is not just about the goddamn factories. It is about everything. It is about the family. It is about parental rights. It is about the gender binary. It is about everything. It is about the individual liberties. It is about everything. Every fucking problem. Every goddamn problem that the left is causing in the world today, from critical race theory to social emotional learning to gender ideology to attacks on parental rights to defund the police to the protests on the college campuses to environmental justice to everything. Every single thing goes back to them wanting to abolish capitalism, and your audience does not understand this, James. And I know your audience doesn't understand this because I can show you Lisa Logan's Twitter feed right now where she is saying that the root cause of social emotional learning is a new age Gnostic fucking sex cult led by Oprah and Marianne Williamson and Deepak Chopra and Wayne Dyer. Wayne Dyer, by the way, who is dead and apparently, according to Lisa Logan, is still one of the evolutionary thought leaders of the secret Gnostic sex cult that only James and his audience know about. And that is what your audience understands right now, James. I can look at it because I can look at their fucking Twitter feeds and I can see exactly what they're talking about. Your audience has no idea where a lot of this stuff is coming from. Your audience can't even explain it. Logan Lansing very proudly bragging that he didn't mention the word capitalism in your book once. If you do not understand that capitalism is the target of queer theory and queer Marxism, then you do not understand what queer theory is. If you do not use that word explicitly, because their entire goal is to destabilize normativity. What is normativity? Capitalism. What is the gender binary that they want to abolish? The gender binary was created by capitalism, which meant men in the workplace, women in the home. Abolishing the gender binary is an attack on the nuclear family, which the Marxists believe, through social reproduction theory, is a literal goddamn production factory for fucking capitalism. And you don't explain this to your audience at all. And then you want to pretend that we have a child's level understanding of what's going on because you're pissed off that I'm a better teacher than you are? My audience can explain things that your audience has no fucking clue about. And James, if you weren't lying to people in a way that could literally result in them getting their kids taken away because they don't understand where the attacks on parental rights are coming from, then that is everyone's fucking problem, James. You are being grossly irresponsible. This is not just some fucking game to get you to do something that you don't want to do. The public needs to be informed about what is happening, and you are like the Pied Goddamn Piper leading them off the fucking cliff. It's not hard to say capitalism, James. I say it about 87 times a fucking day. You want credit because you said capitalism once in a podcast a year and a half ago? Go fuck yourself, bro. You should know better than anyone. You were a college professor, James. Weren't you teaching in college? Don't you know that the way people learn is through repetition, through saying the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over and over again until people fucking drill it into their heads and they understand it? This is why I'm a better teacher than you, James, because I didn't just say capitalism once a year and a half ago and then hang up my coat like, all right, I told people it's all over. I said it every single day, dozens of times a day. I say whiteness means capitalism every single day of my life. I explained that capitalism created the gender binary, which put men in the home and women in the workplace. and that the queer theorists are trying to abolish the gender binary. That is one of their number one goals, because they believe that you can't achieve gender equity until you abolish the gender binary. Equity, of course, being Marxism, which we haven't made that distinction clear yet either. Most people don't know that you cannot have capitalism and equity in the same place at the same time, because equity requires the complete abolition of all private property to be achieved. And that's what's being taught in school districts. That is what the actual danger is. James doesn't explain any of this to his audience, and then pretends that we're crazy for wanting to be on his ass until he fucking bends the knee to my fucking cult and does what we want him to do. And if he isn't going to do it, then we are going to keep haranguing him to within an inch of his goddamn sanity until he does, because the public deserves to know what's going on. He has the ability to tell them. And he instead is talking about a Gnostic fucking sex cult. Let's keep going.
How many years have I been on stage saying, for example, that Karl Marx said in the second chapter of the Communist Manifesto that communism can be summarized in a single sentence, the abolition of private property, which isn't even really a sentence, but maybe it isn't.
So James finally acknowledges that the left defines capitalism as private property. What does private property mean, James? Let's actually make this tangible for people. What does it mean that the left wants to abolish private property? Are you going to tell them that that means individual liberties, James? Are you going to tell them that that means parental rights? Are you going to explain that?
In the original German. How many years? But then I say, but when you read the economic and philosophic manuscripts, he says that that's not enough. That's called crude communism. And crude communism isn't the same as what he really means. The true communism is the positive transcendence of private property as human self-estrangement and a return to being fully human.
That's because being part of the collective is the self-actualization exercise, James, and you can't be part of a fucking collective while private property exists. He really doesn't fucking get it. He doesn't fucking get it. I will never take this away from James Lindsay. I think he's a legitimate genius, but he cannot connect dots. And if James thinks that the Marxist activists in the real world today are doing some sort of transcendent self-actualization exercise, then he's never actually been to a Marxist event, and I've been to several of them. And if you don't believe me, if you think that James is right about Marxism being a fucking self-actualization Gnostic exercise, then just go and find a socialist event in your area, dress up like a socialist, go to the fucking event, keep your mouth shut, don't start any problems, listen to what they're saying, and then you come back and you tell me if they're talking about transcendent exercises, or are they talking about abolishing capitalism? Are they talking about abolishing property? Which are they talking about in the real world? It doesn't fucking matter. This is why my techniques are so much better than James's techniques at predicting what is going to happen in the real world. Because it doesn't fucking matter what Marx wrote 150 goddamn years ago if that is not what's being taught to activists in the real world today. Because what matters today, how we predict what the left is going to do today, is based on what the real activists today know. And most of them have not read as much Marx as James Lindsay has. Most of them have not read as much Hegel as James Lindsay has. Most of them have not read as much Marcuse as James Lindsay has. Most of these kids, the ones pushing the ideology in the real world, the ones teaching in schools, have been involved in far-left clubs and far-left organizations and far-left book clubs and far-left conferences and far-left events and far-left like meet and greets and whatever the fuck the far-left is doing. They've been involved in their social circle. That is where they learn this. If they are not teaching the esoteric Marx transcending the crude Marxism in their social circle today, if the activists don't know that today, they are not acting on that. James has picked out the most obscure, like, ridiculous parts of this and gone down ridiculous rabbit holes. And he's trying to convince people that that is related at all to what is happening in the world today, and it is not. I am sorry. What we are dealing with today is gain of function Marxism, in which you have the philosophy of Marx over here, you have Mao over here, you've got the pig. This is like in the movie Contagion. You got the pig, and this is your traditional fucking Marxist, socialist, communist philosophy, the stuff that was written a long ass time ago. And then you got a bat that comes in. And the bat are the anarcho fucking communists, the radical communists, the farthest left that you can find, the queer Marxists. And you got that bat, and it shits on the pig, and then the pig gets killed, and then it gets served up in a restaurant, and all of a sudden there's a fucking worldwide plague, because what happened when the bat shit on the pig was that the philosophy mutated. It mutated into a different fucking strand. That strand is what we are dealing with in the world today. We are looking at anarchist zines that were created in the late 2000s that are more reflective of what the real world activists are doing in the real world today on those college campuses than anything that James is fucking talking about. And that's because James has not yet figured out that what we are seeing in the real world is not pure fucking Marxism. It is a mutated strand that is heavily influenced by anarcho-communists and queer Marxists. That's what we're seeing. That's not to say that none of what James has to say is valuable, but to say that, oh, those silly children over there, they're just playing with a rudimentary form of Marxism and blah, 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 blah. James, you don't even know what we're fucking talking about because you have never read the anarcho-communist zines at all. You probably don't even know what they are. You have never read the Mary Nardini Gang, James. You never discussed it with your audience. And the Mary Nardini Gang wrote basically what is the queer Marxist manifesto that is reflective of what all the queer Marxists are doing in the real world today. And that is where gender ideology is coming from. That is where attacks on parental rights are coming from. That's even where the sex stuff is coming from, James. That's where the age of consent stuff is coming from. Why have you never talked about the Mary Nardini Gang, James? We're the ones over here just practicing childish, crudish Marxism. No, bro. No. It's almost like James has some hidden knowledge that is not at all related to what we've been talking about and what we've been doing. And he didn't bother to do the basic bit of research to find out what exactly we're talking about. He said, oh, those silly children, they just have a child's version of Marxism and blah, 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 blah. James, until you cover the Mary Nardini Gang, you can shut the fuck up. Child's version of Marxism, my ass.
It's so much more than that. But what's actually being thrown into question is individualism.
It is more than
that. The reason that they hate capitalism is because capitalism is premised off of the idea of owning private property. And the problem with private property is that if you have private property like your hat, and I have private property like my hat, and I can say this.
James, your hat is not considered to be private property. Your hat is considered to be personal property. And the analogy, the horrible analogy that you just made, just walked right into the trap that the socialists always try to set for people by telling people, no. We don't want to take your stuff. There's a difference between private property and personal property. Don't worry. You're going to get to take all your stuff. That is exactly what they say. That is what they say every goddamn time. When they are saying that, what they mean is, that hat you're wearing, that's not private property. That's personal property. That computer that you're streaming on, that's not private property. That's personal property. Don't worry. You're going to get to keep all your stuff. And what they're not telling you is that private property, as defined by today's Marxist activists, and I have every single one of these on video from their trainings, private property is explicitly defined as your home, your land, your intellectual property, your business, if you own a rental unit, it's defined as that, your parental rights, and your individual liberties. That is the definition. But James just used a personal property example, which means that James does not understand, even off the top of his head. And this is, James, this is basic communism, okay? This is like basic Marxism. I just don't know. Like, basically, James, we're dealing in child's Marxism right now. So I don't know why you would just make such a bad analogy about personal property when, in fact, what we're talking about is private fucking property. And perhaps if you ever listen to Marxists, like we listen to Marxists, you would understand that that is the gotcha that they play every single time.
Is mine and that is yours, then you and me are not the same. We're not part of the same super entity, which is called a species being. Jesus Christ.
We've covered that,
Get
James.
a life, people.
Okay. I think it's pretty cool.
Get a life, everyone. Get a life. James doesn't want people to know that capitalism means parental rights, but if you want people to know that capitalism means parental rights, then you need to get a life, guys. I'm sorry, like that. The God Lindsay has spoken. Let's just wrap it up and go home. Nothing more to do here. No more people to educate. No more things to teach. Should I keep watching? Does he keep going? What? Styx mentioned me positively on his stream. What did he say? What did he say, Stevie? Does James keep going? Do we need to keep listening? All right, I'll listen a little bit more. He goes on for another 30 seconds. All right.
Cool that you, like, Marx brought you to Jesus. You read all that Marx stuff. You memorized it back and forth, and now you're going through the Bible because that was like the counter that you found. You're like, okay, well, how do I get?
No, I'm mostly going through the Bible because I speak in churches and because Charlie Kirk makes me.
Yeah, whatever you say. Is it enough to destroy the universities? This is a question. I'm just to raise the universities.
Like on the screen.
Well, I see a pattern of radical.
Well, isn't this interesting? Does he keep going from there? Styx says he follows your Twitter, but he's annoyed because Twitter doesn't notify him when you post. I know. I think I'm shadow banned or something because I have retard in my pinned tweet. But that was, I guess, nice of him to tell people. I'm shadow banned. I'm shadow banned on YouTube. There are times when I bust out of it, but whatever. Is that it? Do we need to keep going? Okay, that was the good part. We don't need to keep going. All right. Well, we're really glad that you're thinking about us, James. I'm really glad that I got so in your head with this that literally while I was sleeping, you were triggered by me. I mean, that's just like, it really is quite an accomplishment, right? I am such an effective cult leader that I triggered James while I was asleep. You know, maybe I found my calling, guys. Maybe I found my calling. I guess it didn't get too inappropriate. I don't know what happened in the chat. I heard about some shenanigans in the chat, but I guess the questions weren't too inappropriate. Yeah. My superpower. I trigger people while I sleep. All right. Well, now you guys know what James Lindsay thinks of you.